why do we get déjà vu? It's one of the strangest experiences a human can have. Imagine you're walking into a room, people are talking, someone laughs, a chair scrapes against the floor, you glance out the window, and then it happens. A strange feeling appears. You've been here before, or at least that's what your brain tells you. Not a similar place, not a place that reminds you of this one, this exact moment, these exact sounds, these exact people. Everything feels strangely familiar. For a few seconds, it feels like reality is repeating itself. But here's the weird part. So, you know that's impossible. You've never been here before. You've never had this conversation before. And yet, your brain is absolutely convinced that you have. So what's going on? Is déjà vu a glitch in the brain, a hidden memory, a trick of perception? Or could it reveal something deeper about how our minds actually work? Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating mysteries of human consciousness. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why scientists believe we get déjà vu and why they still don't have all the answers. The phrase déjà vu comes from French. It literally means already seen. But despite how common the experience is, it's surprisingly difficult to explain. Researchers estimate that around 60 to 80% of healthy adults experience déjà vu at least once in their lives. Some people experience it only a few times, others experience it regularly. Most often, it happens between the ages of 15 and 25. Interestingly, it becomes less common as people get older. Now here's what makes déjà vu different from an ordinary memory. Normally, when something feels familiar, you can explain why. You recognize a song because you've heard it before. You recognize a face because you've met the person. You recognize a place because you've been there. But during déjà vu, something strange happens. Familiarity appears without an explanation. It's like your brain is telling you, I know this, while refusing to tell you why. And that contradiction became one of the first major clues for neuroscientists. Because to understand why we get déjà vu, we first need to understand how memory actually works. To understand why we get déjà vu, we first need to understand how recognition works. Most people think memory is a single system, like a giant storage drive inside your head. Experiences go in, memories come out. Simple. But that's not how the brain actually works. Yes, in reality, your brain uses multiple memory systems at the same time, and two of them are especially important for understanding déjà vu. Scientists call them familiarity and recollections. So, first glance, they seem almost identical, but they're actually very different. So, familiarity is simply the feeling that you've encountered something before. Recollection is remembering the details behind that feeling. Imagine you're walking through a shopping mall. You see someone across the room. Instantly, you think, I know that person. That's familiarity. Then, a moment later, you remember, oh, we went to school together. That's recollection. Normally, these two systems work together seamlessly. One tells you something is familiar, the other tells you why. But what if they stop working together? What if one system fires and the other doesn't? This is where things start getting really interesting. Many neuroscientists believe that this exact mismatch may be responsible for déjà vu. The familiarity system activates. The recollection system doesn't. Your brain receives a powerful signal that says, I know this. But when it tries to find the memory behind that feeling, there's nothing there. The result? A strange mental conflict. Everything feels familiar, yet you can't explain why. And that's remarkably similar to what people describe during déjà vu. In fact, one of the leading scientific explanations is called the familiarity mismatch theory. According to this theory, déjà vu occurs when the brain accidentally generates a false feeling of recognition. Think of it like a software bug. Imagine opening a brand new file on your computer. You've never seen it before. You've never interacted with it before. Yet, a notification suddenly appears saying you've already opened this file. You'd immediately know something was wrong. The file is new. The notification is false. Some researchers believe the brain occasionally does something very similar. For reasons we still don't fully understand, areas involved in familiarity detection become active at the wrong moment. The brain receives a signal saying this is known, even though the situation is completely new. And because the feeling arrives before any logical explanation, it feels incredibly convincing. But here's the fascinating part. Brain imaging studies suggest that something measurable is actually happening during experiences that resemble déjà vu. This isn't just imagination. It's not something people are making up. Specific memory-related regions inside the brain appear to become active. In other words, the experience is real. The feeling is real. The mystery is figuring out why that feeling appears in the first place. But what if scientists have been looking at déjà vu the wrong way? What if it isn't a glitch at all? Because the next theory may be even more surprising. Imagine walking into a restaurant you've never visited before. Everything appears completely new. The tables, the lighting, the decorations, the music playing in the background. Nothing seems familiar, at least not consciously. But your brain notices far more than you're aware of. In fact, every second, your brain is comparing the present moment with thousands of memories from your past. And sometimes, it finds a match. Not an exact match, a partial one. Maybe the lighting reminds you of a cafe you visited years ago. Maybe the layout resembles a classroom from childhood. Maybe the background noise sounds similar to a place you've long forgotten. Individually, none of these details seem important, but together they create something powerful, a familiar pattern. Your conscious mind can't identify where the familiarity comes from, but deeper memory systems can. As a result, your brain generates a feeling that you've experienced this moment before, not because you've actually lived through it, but because certain pieces of it resemble fragments of older memories. Many researchers believe this explanation may account for a large percentage of déjà vu experiences. And if that's true, déjà vu isn't a mistake. It's evidence that your brain is constantly searching for patterns. But then, scientists discovered something even more intriguing. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from studying people with temporal lobe epilepsy. Many patients reported something unusual. Right before a seizure, they would experience an intense feeling of déjà vu. Not mild familiarity, not a vague sensation, an overwhelming certainty that the present moment had already happened. This caught scientists' attention immediately because it suggested that déjà vu wasn't supernatural, it was neurological. Something inside the brain itself was generating the experience. And then came one of the most important discoveries. During certain medical procedures, doctors electrically stimulated specific regions of the brain. Remarkably, some patients instantly reported sensations almost identical to déjà vu. The feeling appeared within seconds and disappeared just as quickly. Why do some people experience it far more often than others? And why does it seem to happen most often when we're young? Scientists don't know for certain, but they do have a few interesting ideas. When we're young, our brains are constantly processing new experiences, places, time, and people, now new situations. Every day, the brain is building new connections and searching for patterns. It's constantly comparing the present with the past. And the harder these recognition systems work, the more opportunities there may be for unusual experiences like déjà vu. So, why do we get déjà vu? After more than a century of research, we still don't have a complete answer. But we do have clues. Some evidence points to a mismatch between familiarity and recollection. Other studies suggest that hidden memories may influence perception without us realizing it. And research involving epilepsy has shown that specific brain circuits can trigger sensations remarkably similar to déjà vu. Maybe the answer involves all of these explanations, or maybe the real explanation is something scientists haven't discovered yet. What we do know is this: déjà vu reveals something extraordinary about the human brain. Every second, your brain is comparing memories, recognizing patterns, and building your perception of reality. Most of the time, this process happens so smoothly that you never notice it. But occasionally, for just a few seconds, you catch a glimpse behind the curtain. A moment where the present feels like the past. And that's what makes déjà vu so fascinating. Not because it proves time travel, not because it reveals a parallel universe, and not because you've somehow lived this moment before, but because it reminds us how much we still have to learn about the most complex object we've ever encountered: the human brain. So the next time you experience déjà vu, take a moment to appreciate it, because you're experiencing one of science's most intriguing mysteries firsthand. If you enjoy exploring questions like this, subscribe to Thinkology. Here, we take the world's most difficult questions and explain them in the simplest way possible. Because every incredible discovery begins with a simple question: why does that happen? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.